like to dedicate this to all of the Creator's righteous children. I have some food in my bag for you. Not that edible food, that food you eat. No, I have some food for thought. Since knowledge is infinite, it has infinitely fell on me. So,
Okay, so one of my favorite television shows growing up was Boy Meets World. And Boy Meets World was a show about this boy named Corey Matthews. And it's basically how he goes throughout the world learning life lessons and being a kid from the age of 11 to the age of, I think he was maybe 22 or 21 when the show ended. I don't really know. But going from 6th grade all the way to college. And it was a very inspirational show when I was growing up. And I didn't get to watch it on its original run on the 90s TGIF ABC lineup on Fridays. But I did watch it in syndication on Disney Channel when I was growing up. And I always had this really big fascination with the show. And I always thought it was very well written and very well done. But then Girl Meets World came out, and Girl Meets World is the continuation of Boy Meets World. So Corey in the show had a girlfriend named Topanga, and they were basically in love from the time they were like 2 years old till, they get married and, whatever. And so it's basically the continuation of Corey and Topanga going to New York, because after the season finale of Boy Meets World, Corey and Topanga, Corey's best friend Sean Hunter, and Eric, Corey's brother, all go to New York. And so it starts off with Corey being a teacher, just like his teacher, Mr. Feeney, who basically taught them through from 6th grade all the way to college. And then you have Topanga, who becomes a lawyer. And they have a daughter named Riley, who in the beginning is 12, and a son named Augie, who I think in the beginning is like 5. Love Augie though. He's so cute and so funny. He's like, Corey had a sister in Boy Meets World, and in the first 2 seasons, she was played by a different actor in the later seasons, but in the first 2 seasons, she was so cute, so witty, like so funny. It was really cute. So Augie's basically that character. But Riley is Corey's character in Boy Meets World, but in girl version. And she has a best friend named Maya Hart, who is a troubled youth with a mom who is divorced, and she's best friends to Riley. And in Boy Meets World, Corey came from a 2-parent household with a brother and a sister. And he had a best friend named Sean Hunter, who also came from a 2-parent household, but it was confusing. So in the first season, you don't really see Sean's parents a lot, but in the second season, we end up seeing his dad, and they live in a trailer park. So his mom ends up taking the trailer and leaving. So his dad's like, I'm going to go and find your mother. So you're going to have to stay here. So Sean has to go through all these trials and tribulations, living with his best friend's Corey's family for a little while, until his English teacher, Mr. Turner, Jonathan Turner, ends up being his legal guardian for about a year and a half. In that time period, they come and they have this really amazing relationship. It's really awesome. Like, Jonathan never tries to be Sean's dad, but he always tries to be there for Sean no matter what. But around season 4, Sean's dad comes back. Or maybe it's season 3. Maybe it's closer to the end of season 3. I can't really remember. I think it's closer to the end of season 3 that Sean's dad comes back. And they try to reform a relationship. At that point, Sean's dad hadn't found his mom yet. But in season 4, there's an episode called Fishing for Verna, where she actually comes back into the picture, and they actually go and find her. Things try to go back on the up and up, and for a little while things are okay. By the end of season 4, Sean ends up with his parents living a little bit of a happy life. Season 5 comes along, and Sean's half-brother, Jack, comes into the picture. And Jack ends up going to Pembroke during Sean's senior year. And so he's looking for roommates. And so Eric ends up living with Jack, and Sean ends up living with them because Chet, Sean and Jack's father, wants them to get along and have a relationship together and whatever. So basically, Sean and Jack at first don't get along very well, but in the end end up forming this bond and living, happily as brothers. That's not really what this post is about, but I need to just talk about Sean and how his life was growing up. To correlate this back to Girl Meets World, you have Riley, who is Corey and Topanga's daughter, 2-parent household with a little brother, grandparents who love her, and 2 uncles, because in Boy Meets World, season 6, his parents have another son named Joshua. Anyways, she has a really good life. Maya, I said, 1-parent household, father left them, has no hope for the world, is very depressed, has no hope for the world, is sad all the time, doesn't think anything of, living a happy life during the first season. Season 2 rolls around. Now, in the first season, Sean comes back into the picture. Being that this is a continuation, they brought back a lot of different characters from Boy Meets World into the Girl Meets World universe. So, in the Boy Meets World universe, they brought back Eric season 2, they brought back Jack season 2, and they brought back Mr. Feeney and Jonathan Turner, because to correlate this back, Jonathan Turner, being Sean's guardian for a while that he was great, but he was also Sean, Corey, and Topanga's English teacher. Season 4, he gets into this really terrible motorcycle accident and ends up in a coma. This episode of Boy Meets World is one of the best episodes of Boy Meets World done, next to their Halloween episode, which was super hilarious. But this episode had to do with Sean, and Sean ends up getting into this cult or whatever, and gets brainwashed by this cult leader. It's really dynamic because he was feeling very lost, he didn't really know what to do, and he was just feeling very lost, spiritually and emotionally and physically and everything in the world. He was just feeling very lost. And so he joins this cult, and at first he thinks it's this great thing. He doesn't know what he's getting himself into. He's just a lost soul. By the end of the episode, being that he had such this great dynamic relationship with Mr. Turner, it turns him so that he realizes that this cult really wasn't for him, and that basically who was important in his life was his friends and the Matthews and just people that cared about him, right? So I'm going to keep going. So back to season 5. I think we're still in season 5. Season 5, Sean meets this wonderful woman named Angela Moore. They click like this. They are so in love. It's so cute because over the years, from about season 2 to season 4, before he meets Angela, he's known as this player dude who just never can commit to a relationship. He has this 2-week rule where he can never be with a person past 2 weeks, right? So with Angela, things change. At first, his 2-week rule still stands, and they go on this date for 2 weeks. He ends it. Doesn't think anything of it. he ends up finding her purse and finding all of these like things that he like ends up loving. Like he finds her lip gloss, he finds her book of poetry, and he finds her ticket stub to a Van Damme movie, and that she loves classical music, and it's just really like, it's so amazing. So then he ends up falling in love with this purse. He doesn't know it's Angela's. He ends up falling in love with this purse, and then he realizes that the purse is Angela's, and he just falls in love with Angela immediately. Like nothing that he ever had fallen in love with before. Like nobody he's ever fallen in love with before. It's just like this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relationship. And growing up, he had to watch Corey and Topanga, who Corey and Topanga are this really unrealistic couple who basically loved each other since they were 2. Super unrealistic. Super, like, just, like, not, like, who loves, who knows that they love each other when they're 2 years old? Like, that's crazy, And they just went through all these trials and tribulations, but, like, they have loved each other forever. And Sean never really had that. And so Angela coming into the picture was, like, a big deal for Sean. And so Sean has gone through a lot. Like, falling in love with Angela was, like, a major point during season 5, and I think that was just the most beautiful relationship ever. Like, it trumps Corey and Topanga for me. Like, they're just, I love them, right? And Sean went through a lot season 5. Like, he discovered that he has drinking problems, and, like, it runs in his family because his dad was a drunkard, and, like, just a lot of different things. But he, like, overcomes them because of Angela. And, like, he graduates high school because of her. He gets into college because of her. It's just, like, such a beautiful relationship, right? Season 6. They're in college, and Sean decides that he wants to explore and not be tied down. So he breaks up with Angela. 5 minutes into breaking up with her, he still wants to be with her. He's still in love, and he regrets it immediately. But he can't go back on his pride because he's Sean. So basically the whole of season 6, it's like this turmoil of back and forth. Corey and Topanga trying to get them back together. Corey wanting to be Angela's friend because he feels like him and Angela were never really friends in the first place outside of Sean and Topanga. And, like, it's really great to see the dynamic of Corey and Angela's relationship as well as Topanga and Angela's and Sean and Angela's relationship. A lot of different things happen season 6. Sean and Jack's dad ends up coming back into their lives, but then ends up having a terrible heart attack and dying, and that was really emotionally sad and traumatic, right? And Angela's still there for him, even if they are broken up at this point. Angela's still there for him. Things, she still cares about him, but she knows she can't be with him because he wants to explore, he wants to do him, and she told him already that she loves him. Like, she loves him, but he's just so, there's just issues in his head, and he can't deal with it because of everything that happened when he was a kid. So he just can't be with Angela the way he wants to be. So after his dad dies, he goes on this soul-searching road trip, ends up coming back when Corey's little brother, Joshua, his mom has the baby, but he ends up being not being able to, like, breathe at first. And so for, like, maybe a few days, it's, like, this really, like, scary thing, but he ends up coming through it, right? Sean comes back and realizes that he doesn't really need to soul search anymore. The people that are important to him are right there for him, right? Basically, the rest of the season goes on. Sean and Angela try to deal with what they have, but it never really works out. Season 7 happens. Season 7 is a great season. Sean at first really wants to be back with Angela. Like, he's determined, he wants to be with her, right? She's like, no, we can't be together. And this time, it's not because Sean is trying to play any tricks with her or do whatever. It's literally Angela. Like, she just can't be with him, right? And at the same time as Angela and Sean are going through what they're going through, Topanga and Corey end up going through something too. Because Topanga's parents at the end of season 6 end up getting divorced. And Topanga can't deal with it, so she's like, I can't be with you, Corey, because I don't want us to end up like them. And Corey's like, we're not going to end up like them. You just have to have faith. But she doesn't have any faith. Basically, that's going on the same time that Angela and Sean are not together. So this goes on for, episodes. Then a really great episode happens where Angela's dad comes to town, right? And he's a military man. So she grew up an army brat, and we learn in this episode that her mom abandoned them when she was 12 years old. So she already feels really like, I can't be with somebody because I'm going to hurt them. Because when Sean and Angela first got together, Sean had his 2-week rule. Well, Angela had a 2-week rule as well, because she didn't want to hurt anybody, because she didn't want them to get feelings, and then she hurts them. She was like, I can't be with you, Sean, because I don't want to hurt you. Basically, Sean keeps going, trying to get her dad to, accept him, telling him his story, and then her dad ends up understanding. So basically, one of the best scenes out of the whole show happens during this episode, right? And Sean and Angela end up confessing their love for each other, because Angela is afraid to hurt him, right? And her dad is like, you're not 12 years old anymore. You're not going to make the same mistakes your mother did. She was not in love at that time, but you are. You love him, and you can't just let your hurt and heartbreak hurt something that is beautiful and great, right? So eventually they end up getting back together, and then they're together for the majority of season 7, and things are looking really amazing for Sean and Angela, and they just have a great relationship, right? Towards the end of season 7, or maybe it's the middle, I don't really know when this episode aired, but there's an episode where Sean gets this letter from his mom, or maybe it's one of his family members, I don't really know, telling him that the mom he thought was his mom was not really his mom. Such a heartbreaking episode, because Sean basically ends up learning that he has no family. Now, of course, he has, his best friend, Corey, and the Matthews, and Topanga, and Jack, and all these people. And that's wonderful. But he just doesn't have any blood, and so he feels really, really terrible about it. And Angela's there by his side. And he says one of the most heartbreaking things. He says to Angela, never leave me. And she says, I won't. Now, that's only sad because of what comes next. So, they end up having this great relationship for most of the rest of season 7. Things are going great. They end up living together for a little while. Things are wonderful. Then, the third to last episode of the show, Angela's dad comes back. And Angela's dad is like, I miss you. I really want you to come be with me. Come live with me in France for a while. And at first, Angela's like, well, but I have a life here. My friends are here. Sean, all these things. And Sean, at first, is not having it. Like, he's like, I don't really want her to go to France and, live this life that, whatever. And so at first he goes get a ring and was gonna propose to her, right? But then he remembers how growing up he didn't have a very good relationship with his father. His father was MIA for almost his whole childhood. And even up until the day he died, he wanted a better relationship with his father. So he was like, he couldn't fault Angela for wanting a relationship with her father. So he was like, Angela, you should go. Go to Paris. Go. I'll be here when you can come back. Just go, right? And one of the last things they say to each other is, let's not say goodbye. Let's not say this is farewell. Let's say this is goodbye, or something like that. It's something really cute. But it's so sad, They end the show. The show ends. Sean goes to New York And that's that. Fast forward about 15 years, Girl Meets World. Okay, so I already mentioned Sean in Girl Meets World, but Sean comes in during season 1 during their holiday episode. And Sean takes this liking to Maya. And Maya, like I said, emotional turmoil, family issues, best friend to Riley. He sees a lot of himself in Maya, so he takes this interest in her. So he comes back during season 2, and he ends up meeting Maya's mom, Katie. And right off the bat, they don't get along. He doesn't really get it. He's trying to help Maya. He's trying to be there for Maya. So he goes and confronts her. And Katie is an actress, but she also is a waitress at first. So Sean goes and meets her, and they strike up this conversation. And eventually, Katie ends up telling Sean that Katie isn't the bad guy in the situation. Katie's husband ended up leaving, and it was nothing that Maya did, and it was nothing that Katie could have done, but he wasn't ready to have a family at that time. So Sean rushes back, because at this time it's Maya's birthday, so Sean rushes back to Corey and Topanga's house and ends up telling Maya that she doesn't need to feel any kind of animosity towards her mother because it's not her fault. It was her father's fault the whole time, and so you should believe in the person who stayed. During this episode also, somebody important is brought up back into the picture, which is Angela. Basically the whole story of finding the purse and how they met and all these beautiful memories end up coming back because Corey and Topanga start talking about her, and so the girls want to know about her, so he tells them all these stories. They don't like it. They're like, no. And then when he meets the mom, it's like, okay, okay. Like, they really want Sean to be with Katie. Like, they want Sean to be with Katie more than anything. Fast forward. Sean keeps being in Maya's life. Sean is in Maya's life for a while. And at this point, he's grown so fond of her that he ends up buying her these really nice clothes. Because Sean is a travel photographer, so basically he travels all around, going to all these different destinations and like taking pictures and writing about them. So that's what he does. And so he buys Maya all these nice clothes. And Maya's feeling hope and feeling love and feeling all these things. Also during this episode is when Angela comes back. Now last time we saw Angela, she was off in Paris with her dad. And we didn't know what happened to her after that, right? So Angela comes back and she's married. She's married to a military man and he wants to have a child. So Angela comes back and she asks Sean, should I have a child? Like, do you think I would be good to have a child? And Sean, of course, says yeah, because, he was in love with Angela and he thinks anything Angela does or could do would be amazing, right? So basically she's there, and this is where I really get pissed off, right? Angela comes. So first, backtracking a little bit back to Women's World, Angela and Corey have this really unique relationship, right? Because during season 6, when Sean and Angela had broken up, Corey really wanted them to get back together and was trying really, really hard to get them back together. So he struck up this really unique friendship with Angela where they became really good best friends. Fast forward back to Girl Meets World, Sean and Katie are talking about whatever they're talking about. No one cares. Corey runs in to where they're talking and he says, somebody is coming that can make what's really great, what's going on that's great right now, to something bad, or something like that, to that effect, he says. And Angela comes in, basically trying to allude that right now things are sunshine, Ray, you're going to be with Katie. But Angela's going to come in like a hurricane and ruin everything, right? Stupid. Then, so she comes, they talk about the kid. Angela's dad ends up dying because he died in real life also, which is sad because I like that actor. But Angela's dad had died. Sean's dad had died, so they have that mutual connection, right? So talk about that. And then Angela ends up meeting Maya and Katie. Not meeting, but they are. So Topanga ends up buying this bakery from this old lady and turning into like this nice like hangout spot for the kids. Kind of like Chubby's in Boy Meets World, but Topanga's. So they end up. So there's like this window where like the seat is, and then there's like a window so you can see outside. So Maya and Katie, Corey and Riley are all sitting outside, and Angela and Sean are talking, and then Angela says, "Who's this?" And Maya's head pops up, and then he's like, "Oh, well, that's Maya," and he's like, "That's somebody that I've grown fond of, right?" And then she points to the next, and she's like, "Who's this?" And she's like, "That's Katie, Maya's mom." And Angela's like, "Is she the one?" And Sean's like, "Well, I've never known this lady like all of 5 minutes. Like, do I really know if it's the one?" And Angela basically says, "Take what we had, take that to heart, and know that that was something special, and give you the courage to like move on and be with somebody else." And then she basically pieces out. But also during this episode, during the scene, Riley strolls in to the bakery, right? And she has her little stank face on to Angela, like, "I don't like you because you're taking away my best friend's potential father. Go away, you're evil." And it like really got on my nerves because she like looked her up and down, like, "I don't like you," and then stormed out. And I was just like, this little girl knows nothing of Angela, knows none of the history, and thinks she knows something, and has no right to be that rude to such an important character. So, she's only in season 2. And I don't know if Angela's going to come back, if Trina McGee is going to come back and like reprise her role or anything. I don't know any of that, right? Don't know. Would be great if she did. Don't have any idea. But I just watched an episode of Girl Meets World, and it's called Girl Meets Upstate. It hasn't aired yet, but I think you can find it on demand if you have on demand or the Watch Disney app or some stupid thing. This episode got on my nerves more than I think any other episode of Girl Meets World has ever gotten on my nerves. Girl Meets Hurricane got on my nerves, but this episode, that takes the cake. So this episode is basically about Maya lost herself and like is trying to act like Riley. So Riley takes Maya to go see Sean, and Sean has basically lost himself too, and blah 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 blah. The thing that got on my nerves about this episode, besides the fact that Sean proposed to Katie, even though they only known each other for like 5 minutes and only gone on like a couple of dates and only been shown on the show for like 2 seconds each time, like never really like interacted together, never really like had this chemistry. Whenever they're together, they don't even seem like they care about each other. Like his lives don't even light up the way they lit up with Angela's. Like it's just so stupid. But what got on my nerves about this episode was Sean had the nerve, and the writers, come on. He had the nerve to say that basically what he and Angela had was not important, and that the only reason it was there was because he was trying to compete with some unrealistic expectation of Corey and Topanga. He basically was trying to say that Angela was not important in his life, that he didn't love her, and that it was just a phase that he was trying to go through to combat having to see Corey and Topanga every day. And that just ripped my heart out. I was like, because I'm a Sean and Angela stan. Like, I stand for them. So that hurt. That hurt on levels that I can't even, like, honestly, writers, like, you just don't care about Angela. And it's not even Sean and Angela at this point. Like, at this point, I've given up. Like, at this point, I've decided that I have my Boy Meets World reruns, and as long as I have that, I'm okay. But the fact that you keep bashing her and making it seem like this whole Angela thing was a fluke is just, like, so disrespectful. Like, so just, it hurts. And not even just to Sean and Angela, but to Angela in general. You know, like, Angela, I feel like, is a really super duper important character. Not only for Sean, but just for the show. Okay? So I guess it started showing on, Boy Meets World started showing on Disney around, like, 2000, 2001, 2002, I want to say. And I was, like, 9 or 10 at that point. Okay, really? Like, I was 9 or 10 at that point, and when I was watching Boy Meets World, it's a very white show. Like, it was on ABC, a very white network, even though they showed, like, Family Matters and stuff, and, like, Sister during its original run, and whatever. It was still a very white network, right? Owned by Disney by the end of the DJF run, and, like, was just, whatever. So, from seasons 1 to seasons 4, there are no black characters, not even a Latina, not even a Latino, not even a Native American, not even a Muslim, an Asian, nobody, right? It's very, very white. I still love the show because it has really great writing and it's just amazing. But of course, I like to see a little diversity in my shows. So when Angela Moore comes onto the scene, it's just like, yes, finally somebody to combat all this whiteness. Now, I'm not saying this in a bad way, because obviously I wouldn't love this show if I didn't think it was just amazingly written and amazingly done. But it was good to see a black girl in a predominantly white show. And she wasn't stereotypical. Like, that's what I love about Angela, is that she's never stereotypical. She was this beautiful black woman who, she was kind of hippie, she kind of dressed hippie, like, season 5 and season 6, and she spoke her mind when she needed to, and she read black books and was very about her, black pride, but never was, like, too out there with it. And, like, when you have 3 white friends, I mean, hello. But she was never too over the top with it. And that's something that I thought was beautiful, is that she wasn't over the top with it, but she still understood, I'm a black female. I'm a black woman. Like, yes. And so, I just think that they, in Girl Meets World, are taking advantage of that, and they're not using it to the right way it's supposed to be used, And I just feel like they're just shitting all over her, and, like, they just don't care about her character anymore. And they just decided that because she wasn't from the very first episode of Boy Meets World, that she doesn't matter anymore, And it's just like, it just hurts. It hurts a lot. And I just don't appreciate the way the writers are going with this show. I at first was very skeptical about Girl Meets World because spin-offs can be 50-50. It can be really, really, really amazing, or it can be really, really, really bad. And at first, I was like, this is going to be so bad, because the pilot wasn't very good. But then it got a little better. The storyline started to grab me, and I was like, okay, this might be a good show. But then the things that they did to Angela just got me in the feels. And now I don't even know how I feel about this show anymore. And second, okay, I know this show is on Disney and they don't want to make things unrealistic. But the thought of Cory and Topanga is already unrealistic. And Sean never got to have a resolution in Boy Meets World. Like, never. He didn't get to have the girl. He didn't have parents. He had nothing. And so you made him suffer for 7 long seasons. Maya, who is only 14, gets to have everything she ever wanted in 2 seasons. She gets to have hope. She gets to have the best friend. She gets to have support of the best friend's parents. She gets to have maybe the boy. We don't know yet because that storyline is like, which, don't even get me started on that storyline. She gets to have the father. And it's not fair. It's not fair. Like, she should have to suffer just as much as Sean did, if not more, because she's on Disney Channel. And it just feels like they're rushing it. They just feel like they're trying to put things together that don't even work. Like Sean, when he's with Katie, he doesn't even feel like they're meant to be together at all. Like, it doesn't feel like that, you know? And I just feel like they're ruining Sean's character, because he's doing a lot of things that are un-Sean. And I just feel like they're ruining his character, and it's really sad to me. Like, it's really, really sad to me. Like, I just want to cry sometimes. I'm just like, why are you messing this up? And I think Girl Meets World would have been a better spinoff if they had never even brought people from Boy Meets World onto the show. Because it's not just Angela and Sean and all of that. They also, I mean, I know when they brought Eric on, I knew they were going to have Plays with Squirrels. I just knew it. But I was hoping they would just have him make a little cameo of Plays with Squirrels and then go back to being, you know, funny Eric, but with a little more heart. And also, you know, I kind of wanted to see him become a weatherman, because part of season 3, he really wanted to become a weatherman. And that was a big story. And I just wanted to see him become a weatherman. Like, I really did. And, you know, they brought Jack back, but he didn't even know Corey had kids. Like, it's like these people never even, like, knew each other. It's like these people didn't keep in contact. It was just so dumb. Like, I'm just like, Boy Meets World is so amazing. Girl Meets World could do a whole lot better. And what's sad about Girl Meets World is that Michael Jacobs, who did Boy Meets World, who did the amazing writing of Boy Meets World, is screwing up Girl Meets World, and it's sad to me. It's so sad. I'm like, why? Just why? You know, just why? Like, I don't understand, you know, but we'll see. If I decide to watch the show anymore, I'll let you know, but I already am getting really fed up with it, and not just, you know, the original, you know, bringing back characters from the original, but also the stupid storylines that they have for Girl Meets World, because Girl Meets World has really bad storylines. Like, season 3 alone has had some of the worst storylines. Like, they had this one episode called Girl Meets Jessica or whatever it's called. And it was basically about how Riley, my name is Riley, and I can't think of what to put on my little Facebook profile. So I'm going to make up this alternate person, and the whole school's going to love her, but they're not going to know it's actually me. And then in the end, they're going to figure out that it's me, and I'm going to learn some type of stupid lesson about it. Blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to have this episode about me failing a Spanish test and having to get my parents to go talk to my Spanish teacher. Because why? Because I can't do it on my own, and I can't figure out that it's just one stupid grade. It's just a dumb thing. So I might watch more, I might not. Goodbye.